October 15th. Ask for roll call.
Councilmember Rainey.
Here.
Svenby.
Here.
Turleson.
Here.
Dodson.
Here.
Schultz.
Here.
Burbank.
Here.
Abraham.
Here.
Mayor Kuntz.
Here.
We have all 7 of the council and
Thank
the
you.
mayor
Please
present.
rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to welcome everyone here tonight for our meeting, and we do have some changes to the agenda. They're not changes, but additions for 93.13. We add Annie Ventures to the partnership to add that, and we've changed some numbers on 3.41 to 3.43 and 3.51 to 3.52. We have some corrections. So, Chair will entertain a motion to approve with those changes.
So moved.
A motion by Brent. Do you have a second?
Second.
Second by Dave Burbank. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This has been approved. Now with that, we'll move on to first items is 1.51 Development District number 6. And with that, we'll go to Troy.
Okay, for tonight, for redevelopment of the old Pillsbury campus, we will be holding a public hearing, and then there will be 3 resolutions. One is a proposed resolution would be approving the development district number 6. One would be approving the tax increment financing district number 6-1 and the use of tax increment financing. And then a third resolution for the development agreement between Pillsbury International Academy and A&E Ventures, LLC.
Okay.
So tax increment financing is being pursued for the redevelopment of the old Pillsbury campus. The developer, Pillsbury International Academy, is proposing to renovate the Pillsbury campus for another educational facility to occupy the space. Developer is also proposing to develop the east end of the campus for commercial development and create 3 lots there, and that's already been approved with the PUD by the City Council. Fernbrook Family Services would be constructing a new office building there, and there would be additional office space built as part of that development. Proposed development agreement will be following here after these resolutions. The total increment amount would be $1 million plus interest of 4.75%. That would go towards reimbursing the developer for eligible redevelopment costs to the site. The proposed development agreement spells out the specific requirements of the development and the payment of tax increment financing. The district would run up to 26 years or to the end of 2041. The city is incurring expenses in establishing the TIF district and drafting the development agreement. Like with all our other TIF districts, the EDA upfronts the costs, and they will be reimbursed for those expenses over the life of the TIF. Also, we have a development agreement between Pillsbury International Academy and E&A Ventures, LLC. E&A Ventures is now a party to the agreement because they will own the building and the lot that the Fernbrook building will be located. It was important for Fernbrook and Pillsbury International Academy to have their obligations separated within this agreement, and therefore prompting tabling of these approvals at the last council meeting. The majority of the changes to the development agreement are to accomplish the separation between the two. Under the proposed development agreement, Pillsbury International Academy would have to spend $1 million in eligible renovation costs within 2 years of the agreement. This is a pay-as-you-go TIF, meaning they have to pay in each year their taxes to receive a TIF payment. The TIF district would again run up to 26 years or the end of 2041. The total increment would be capped at $1 million plus interest at 4.75%. The increment would be split so that 90% of the funds would go towards the Pillsbury campus renovations and 10% would go for on-site improvements for the commercial development on the east end. The increment is the is only the new tax amount from the increased valuation. All taxes that are due to be paid by the current valuation on the property would continue to be paid throughout the life of the district. There is a provision in the agreement that prohibits tax increment financing from being used for the demolition of the old main building on the campus. And again, all costs are being for developing the TIF district and the development agreement by the EDA, and that'll be paid back through the TIF district. So staff would recommend approval of the two resolutions establishing the TIF district, as well as the development agreement with Pillsbury International Academy and E&A Ventures in form and content. And that's, as we proceed here to closing, if everything is approved, there might be some clarifications that might be needed, or it might be some typographical errors in the agreement. And if we approve it based on form and content, then that allows those changes to be made and not have to be brought back here to the City Council for approval. And I want to introduce Ed Sheeta, who's worked with us numerous times, our consultant with Advanced Resources on a lot of our TIF districts here. He put together this development agreement for us. There are a few changes that I know Mark Walbrand had reviewed, and maybe I'll turn it to Ed here just to go over those and establishing dates. In your development agreement, there was a few dates in there that were left open, and I'll turn it to Ed here.
Good evening. Ed Cheetah from Advanced Resources, Mankato. Troy did a wonderful job in kind of overviewing the whole project. In the development agreement, because we've got some issues going on with closings on properties and everything, generally the dates that we're looking for is with regard to the Fernbrook project. They anticipate doing their closing over the next several days or a couple of weeks, so they would be immediately on closing. They intend to start their project. Probably more important is their project would end, would be online and would be completed by the end of 2014. That allows then that the property taxes or the increment would start coming in 2016, and that's according to the schedule in the tax increment plan. With regard to the Fernbrook project, that's a little exactly where their intent and the council's intent was that that property is brought back as an educational institution. And Doug Belmore here is tonight, and he maybe can address some of the areas where they're going to start, but they've got more of a potpourri of activities that are going to occur in spending money in one area and another area. It's not so defined like Fernbrook thing, we're going to build a new building. They're going to undertake a bunch of redevelopment activities to bring the buildings back online. Their agreement works out where after the development agreement is signed, they have 2 years then to incur their expenditures and everything and get that project online. I think their intent is, if everything went well, they would try to have some form of an academy up and operating next fall. Things have got to go well for that to happen. If they don't, rather than have all kinds of amendments and come back and renegotiate it, they could open up a year later and they still would be okay. So that's that part of it. Are there other? There's only one other thing I wanted to add with regard to the development agreement itself. This project has some of the similarities like when we did the hospital one. It's complex. It's a redevelopment project. It's property that's sat empty for several years, and we have several parties to the agreement. They all have some of their own unique perspectives and their own unique requirements, and that was what delayed things, was that we wanted to make it very clear that the obligations, or perhaps in the event of a default, that the Fernbrook portion of the project is not obligated to do anything to see that Pillsbury implements the project and vice versa. And that's sort of the private end of that. But they needed to have that clear so there wasn't any misunderstandings to that. Also, we've got three lots over there that are commercial. 2 of those are going to remain with the campus until they get sold. Well, again, we sort of preemptively not have to go through the whole process of another development agreement. This development agreement is written so that it will be recorded and it will go with the land. And I think, Mark, we mentioned once years ago we did that in that situation. We don't record them in that way, but what would happen then is if they sell one of those other office lots off, they would have to conform, they would have to conform to the CUP anyway, but they would be part of, they would take, the development agreement would be there automatically. They'd have to deal with those issues. So we take care of all of that up front. So I think that it's taken some time to bring it together and get everybody's concerns met, but I think we've met those. Troy and I worked very hard in terms of getting it to say that, look, the substantial benefit of the tax increment and the purpose of this, really, that the city got involved with more than anything else, was bring the academy back and bring that back as an educational institution, and we focused almost everything over there. I think the perspective that the academy brought to it was, they said, well, we've got this large piece of property, by the city approving the CUP and allowing that to be split off and developed separately, it's going to reduce some of their expenditures, it's going to generate some increment, it's going to generate income, and it sort of primes the pump for everything to happen. So that's kind of the perspective we've brought to it in trying to handle it in that fashion. So are there other questions specifically of Troy or
I think there may be once we open the public hearing, but just wanted to hear your words. If Doug has anything that he wants to add before I open the public hearing, that would be nice to have it done now. Thank you, Ed.
Les?
Yes, Mark.
I think probably would be appropriate to have a motion to resume consideration of these matters.
I was going to do that after I close the public hearing.
Okay, very good. Okay, thanks.
Douglas Belmore, 816 Greenhaven Lane, Owatonna, Minnesota, with Turning Point Management. First of all, I'd like to introduce Don Kunis, the president of Community Resource Bank and the current property owner, and his legal counsel, John Martin. Bruce Gia, unfortunately, could not be here tonight. He has a conference call with his client at 8 o'clock local time and sends his regrets. I'd like to update the council on a couple things that are important. I've been asked to give you guys some comfort on who this investor group is. What I would suggest is, in conversation with Troy and Chris today, is that I plan on introducing them October 25th when they're in town. Okay? And I would also like to point out there is one local investor as well that has asked not to be identified at this point in time. But privately, I think Chris and Troy and the mayor are very familiar with who that person is. I was also asked to comment that somebody had requested or asked for an opinion on whether alcohol and cigarettes would be allowed on campus. Two things. One is the vast majority of the students will be 21 and under, because, again, this is a one-year prep school to get ready to go to MSU and Riverland. So first of all, it would be illegal to let kids under 21 drink, and I think from an insurance viewpoint, why would you want anybody smoking in a dorm room? So I think the expectation is it will be drug and alcohol free. These are very high-performing students from a very high economic class, and they're here to study and work hard. The other thing I'd like to do to update the council is that the discussions with the technical charter school are moving along very well, and that appears to be a very real project. As indicated, they have voted and are expecting to come to Pillsbury. We had a meeting last week with Don Kunis representing the bank, Bruce Gia, and the representatives of the technical school, and we've got our next date set for setting up the leases. And that, again, is positive, and I think initially, because they have to do some fundraising internally in Owatonna, it appears to be very positive and likely. Any questions? Yes, sir.
I've just got a couple. I think the community is really involved in this as a community. I mean, they want to make it happen too, but if there's a way that we could communicate that monthly to us, the question was at the two houses west of the dorms, are they staying, or, some things that...
Can I tell you what I know right now? And I think more importantly, although with Kevin, I've got very cautious about talking to the newspaper, and respectfully. Our expectation at this point in time is those two houses are likely to be torn down. It's simply they're too far gone. One has been left cold for 2 years, and it's just not likely it's going to happen, okay? What we are talking about with that group is, if it's not going to be developed for a period of time, can it be gifted or allowed that Washington School, until it makes its move, may be able to use it? There is some minor discussion there. We have very significant contractor costs to get ready to start working on the first dorm in and around October. It's our expectation that there will be students on campus in summer of 2014 for what are called summer and preparatory camps. It is our full expectation that sometime in January we also start work on Pillsbury Hall. So we have allocated about $650,000 to get working on the dorms. They have to be dug out around on the outside, and there's water infiltration. We are concerned about the lack of fire safety in there, and we will be putting in full sprinkling. The windows in the dorms all have to be removed because they're just not energy efficient, and then a complete renovation of all the carpeting in that. So that's in and around $650,000, and we're getting ready to get going on to that in and around January 1st. In regards to Pillsbury Hall, the initial budget on that is about $850,000. Half the roof has to be replaced, especially if we've got the charter school going in, and we've got budgetary prices on that. And then, as you're well aware, one of the fatal flaws of Pillsbury, not back then, but their whole heating system was designed in 1901. And I think some of you guys may know, but the heating building is actually one of the oldest, or is the oldest building in Steele County. And that will be preserved, by the way. But those boilers are also 1901 vintage. So we are working with an HVAC engineer and an architect to get ready to put in HVAC specific to Pillsbury Hall, repair the roof, and get it all up to grade, because in addition to Pillsbury International Academy's significant concerns about the quality of the building, we also have to meet the state of Minnesota's requirement, because the charter technical school is a public school, and there's very significant bylaws and regulations on what needs to get done there. We have worked very cooperatively with the city of Owatonna, and we are very comfortable, because in reality that's the second newest school building in Owatonna, which is hard to believe, but we're very comfortable that it's ADA compliant and up to code. Okay? Other good questions, sir?
We're going to have two schools. We have an international school and a charter school. Is that my understanding?
We're going to have a learning community.
Yeah.
So the charter school is kids, a magnet school from southern Minnesota, and the kids will come in daily, not staying on campus. It is now being targeted for grades 7 to 12, which is a little change from their last public announcement. And it's project-based management, or project-based learning. Those kids will come from Rochester, Albert Lee, Faribault, the surrounding areas, Rochester, Mankato, and it's very specific to science, technology, engineering, and math, project-based. Okay? Pillsbury won't actually do a lot of teaching on campus because their partner is Riverland Community Colleges, primarily at the Riverland Community College Center. They will be doing 8 English language credits on an intensive English language that will be taught by Minnesota State University, actually in Pillsbury, but the majority of their other credits will be off campus in Riverland. Okay? Surprisingly, and I don't think people understand this, but Fernbrook also has a very strong tie with Minnesota State University. They require a tremendous amount of interns, and we're just entering an agreement with Minnesota State University to do internships in law enforcement, nursing, social worker, psychology, and I suspect very closely behind that, Riverland and MSU will also start providing social work classes. We also have strong interest in the Fernbrook project currently right now from the Glenn Taylor Institute of Nursing and Family Studies. So Fernbrook is a very underestimated company in this community. It's one of the most amazing ones that I know as well.
How many students per each one would be a max, say 2 years out, or what would be charter school and the international? What would kind of be an ideal guess how many students would be in these?
Charter school is targeting approximately 150 people in the first year. I apologize, I don't know their capacity.
Sure,
there will be some square footage limitation.
Sure.
In addition to that, the charter school is also working with the Pillsbury International Academy to make sure that the dining room facilities are common.
Okay.
The expectation is that we'll probably have 150 to 200 students in fall of 2014, and that will gradually go up to around 500. Okay?
Okay.
And your request to do regular updates?
Just be good. I think that everybody's excited about it, but I think they'd like to just be informed what's going on.
Yep.
And we don't know. If we don't know, we can't tell the story either.
Yep. So, again, Troy is always keeping in contact with me, so I can either send a communication or I'm more than willing to come. But more importantly, I want the people doing the project to come.
Sure.
But yes, monthly updates, I think, is a very reasonable expectation.
Thank you, Doug.
Les?
I was going to try to hold council comments till after the public hearing is done. That's technically how it's supposed to be handled. So I'm going to ask for now open the public hearing at 7:21 for anyone that has questions from the public.
Do you need a motion for that?
No. Anyone in the audience have a question? Seeing none, we'll ask for a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
We have a motion by Raymond to close the public hearing. Do we have a second to that?
Second.
Second by Greg Schultz. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Now we will be opening up the resolutions, and because they were tabled at the last meeting, I will ask for a motion to move to resume consideration of resolutions 9113, 9213, and 9313.
So moved.
We have a motion by Kevin to resume the consideration. Do we have a second to that?
Second.
Second by Greg Schultz. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Now these resolutions are back on the floor for consideration. So any questions from the council? Kevin.
Yeah. Mr. Belmar, good evening. Is it my understanding then that for the Global Academy, most of their education will be off-site, but they're going to be utilizing the dorms, or will it be a mix between?
It'll be a mix. You will have the 8 credits taught by Minnesota State University Intensive Language Institute will be taught in Pillsbury Hall on the first floor. There's more than enough capacity for that. The initial group will also take 4 general credits at Riverland, okay? It's kind of confusing, but they're jointly admitted to both MSU and Riverland at the same time. It's a version of a 2+2 program, so after the first year, they will migrate to almost full-time at Riverland, be transported back and forth, but the next group will be into that Pillsbury Hall for the ESLI. After 2 years, the expectation is strongly that they'll just move to Mankato and they're on their own.
Okay. So will they at any time be sharing buildings between the charter school and?
Well, they're sharing the first building, which is Pillsbury Hall. They're going to occupy, the charter school will occupy the second floor, which is kind of interesting because have you been up there, Kevin?
Yes.
It's totally unfinished.
Yes.
That's exactly what they want. It's like, really? And the Pillsbury Academy will be using the first floor. Okay. Now, I can tell you that there is some longer-term plans to also put Pillsbury as an accredited college of its own again. Well, sorry, not again, because Pillsbury College, unfortunately, was never accredited. But that's a 3 to 5 year process, but we are working with our partners to make that happen. So.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Other questions?
Any other questions? Tom.
Just a comment that we did all receive a letter from the Owatonna Chamber of Commerce in support of this process.
Yes. And that will be acknowledged at this point right now. So thank you for doing that, Tom. And we do have received a letter acknowledging the support of this from the chamber. So with that, we will move on to Resolution 9113, the Development District Number 6. What is the council's wishes?
Motion we approve.
We have a motion by Nate to approve. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Raymond Chulson. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 9113 has been approved. 9213 is the next one, the TIF district. And with that, Chair will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve Resolution 92-13.
We have a motion by Dave Burbank to approve Resolution 9213. Do we have a second to that?
Second.
Second by Nate Dodson. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This has been approved also. The next resolution, 9313, is a development agreement with Pillsbury and E&A Ventures. What is the council's wishes?
So move we approve.
We have a motion by Raymond to approve. Do we have a second to that?
Second.
Second by Kevin Rainey. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This has been approved. Thank you and good luck with it.
Thank you. We'll keep council involved and informed on a regular basis.
That is appreciated. Thank you. Move on to 1.5.2, mowing weeds and other harmful vegetation. That will go to Chris.
Thank you, Les. As you know, each year we require landowners to maintain their properties, and a certain amount are cited each year. These properties have all been notified of the violation of the ordinance, and we are simply asking council to assess the attached amount and the amount of $2,897.35 to reimburse the city for the cost of the weed and nuisance enforcement. So staff would recommend approval.
Thank you. And that, again, is a public hearing, so we'll open the public hearing for the mowing of the weeds at 7:27. Anyone wishing to be heard from the audience, please come forward. Seeing none, Chair will entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So move.
We have a motion by Raymond to close the public hearing. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Brent Svenby. Any further discussion? Raymond.
Chris, this got to be down from past years.
We've got to wait to that for the public comment.
Oh.
Oh, okay. We have a motion and a second to close the public hearing. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No.
It's got to be down this year.
No, I'm not sure. I'd have to check into that, Raymond. I'll let you know.
It'd be nice, just to see if there's what the trend is. Last couple, 3 years, what's going on with the lots. Seem like more people are paying attention or something.
We have Resolution 9513 to adopt the assessment.
So move.
Motion by Raymond to approve. Do we have a second to that?
Second.
Second by Brent Svenby. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This has been approved. Next item on the agenda is 1.53 delinquent OPU accounts, and that will go to Chris.
I'll take it.
Mark, okay.
The council will recall that in October of 2012, we adopted an ordinance setting up a procedure where delinquent utility accounts could be certified to the county auditor for collection with the real estate taxes. We're implementing that now. In one of the issues that we wrestled with was whether to make the ordinance retroactive or prospective only. Would it pick up arrearages in the past or only arrearages arising after the date of the ordinance? For a number of legal reasons, we're making it prospective only into the future. And that's because of the general rule that the law doesn't permit a law or a rule with retroactive application. You may have sometimes heard the expression or the phrase an ex post facto law. Given that it was a debatable matter, we made the decision that it should be applied only into the future, that is to say from the time of its adoption, and then the other ones that are delinquent, that portion that's delinquent will still be pursued, but via collection as we have in the past. And I think that's essentially it. We were able to resolve one of them today by a payment plan and an agreement with stipulating to the amount. But so what you're being asked here is to adopt this resolution for the unpaid utilities arising since the date of the adoption of the ordinance. This should go more smoothly next year as we go on. But okay.
Thank you, Mark.
You're welcome.
With that, we will open the public hearing for the delinquent OPU accounts. And if anyone would like to speak on this issue, please come forward to the podium. Seeing none, Chair will entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
We have a motion by Greg to, do we have a second to that?
I'll second it.
Second by Raymond. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Now, this is Resolution 9613, assessments that are delinquent. And what is the council's wishes? Raymond.
Just got a question, Joe. Some of these got to be residential homes. Are they being lived in today, or what's the status of, they owe money, but are these people still living there, or what's the status? And there's got to be a lot of residential property.
Yeah, these are residential, Joe Green, Owatonna Public Utilities. Some of these customers still live at these residences. Some now, since October when this ordinance was passed, are no longer customers in Owatonna Public Utilities service territory. So we can pursue collection agencies, but we try to avoid that, especially if they're active customers. So we try to work with them.
So they're all shut off in all these residents?
Pardon?
They're shut off in all these residents?
No.
Oh.
No. Some of these residents still live in these homes.
What's that?
Some of these people still live in these homes,
Oh, yeah.
yes. They still have active accounts with us.
And you are working with them to get those taken care of?
We do, yes.
Okay, great.
We set up payment agreements with them.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Any other questions? What is the council's wishes?
Motion to approve Resolution 9613.
We have a motion to approve 9613 by Greg Schultz. Do you have a second?
Second.
Second by Dave Burbank. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This has been approved. We will now move on to financial report, and I'll do a quick recap. We got $152,226 for Owatonna Fire Relief Association, $24,712 for Yoakum Oil fuel purchases, $117,865 for Southeast Service Cooperative, and $255,600 or $18,000 for other expenditures, for a total of $559,823. And to that we add $60,316 for Section 1 payments for October 1st, with a grand total of $620,140. What is the council's wishes?
Motion to pay the bills.
You have a motion by Kevin to pay the bills. You have a second.
Second.
Second by Nate Dotson. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This has been approved. Thank you. And with that, we'll move on to the consent agenda items, which are requests, minutes of meetings, sorted reports, etc.
I'll move we
Combined into one motion.
I'll move we approve the consent.
We have a motion by Raymond Trulson to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Brent Fenby. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This has been approved. Now we will move on to action items. 3.3.1, book tree settlement funds, and that will go to, here we are.
Okay, I think everybody got the purpose memo. And if there's any questions on that?
The only thing that came up when I've spoken with some people was just, have you talked to any of the residents around the golf course? Everybody's, trees are going to be replaced pretty much as they are. I know there was some concern about just the coverage changing, the money being diverted into other areas and not replacing trees, and then not being as heavily wooded as it currently is. So has that all been dealt with, I guess, to the satisfaction of the surrounding residents?
I haven't really heard too many comments from surrounding residents. It's really not going to, it'll change probably the playability of the golf course itself. But as far as residents, most of them would actually rather see the golf course than not see it. So it's probably going to enhance their view. I haven't heard anybody talk negatively about the trees going down.
Okay. Raymond.
When will you start removing trees? It's getting late now. Will it be next spring now? Or?
Davies Tree Care out of the Twin Cities is DuPont's representative for taking down the trees, and I'm not sure when we're going to be doing that. I'm assuming that it'll be put on their schedule fairly quick, but it's hard to say, Ray. I would assume it would be great if it was this fall yet, but
tougher when the ground gets hard and frosty.
Right. As quick as I hear from them, we'll schedule it.
Would you anticipate that'll happen this winter?
That's what I'm hoping for. The quicker the better. From now till, spring is the best time to remove the trees. Less damage, not as many golfers. So that would be the ideal time.
Are we protected on the other end if they come in May and say we're going to start taking them out now?
Yeah, I could handle that too. I'll work closely with them and show them where they can drive and where they can't drive, and make sure that they're in the right spots when they remove them.
Yeah.
How many total to be removed, Rick?
340 trees are lost.
Thank you. Any other questions?
I've got a lot more that have gotten in my way.
Rick, I just want to thank you and the committee members for putting this list together. It looks like a great list for the money that we can spend from DuPont. So thanks for doing that and your time and effort you did.
Thank you.
Brent. Now, Chris, this is not an item that we need to approve, just acknowledge and accept the recommendations.
Yes, as we discussed during our study session, this is valuable information for the council, and we will take this into consideration as we go through our normal budget process and CIP. So that'll be incorporated in.
Okay. And to also let you know that the council recognizes the fund that is being set up for this, and it's going to be reserved for Brook Tree. It's not going to be used elsewhere throughout the community. So, as a public, this is a statement that I think we've all agreed to, that this is what will happen with that funding. So you can be assured that it's for your Brook Tree golf course.
Well, I want to thank you for that.
Okay, thank you. And with that, we will accept your recommendation, and thank you for that. So,
thanks.
Thank you. And with that, we'll move on to the Viricon 3.4.1, second reading of ordinance number 14-13. And with that, we'll go to Troy.
Yep. So we have a few items here, second readings, to finish up the zoning approvals for Viricon. The first is the rezoning from the property from I-1 light industrial to IP industrial park. And this is actually just a portion of the property because they combined everything under one lot. They had the north half in an IP district, the southern half in an I-1. So we're just putting it all into one zoning district, the IP industrial park district. So staff would recommend approval of Z 322, rezoning the Viricon property from I-1 light industrial to IP industrial park district.
Thank you very much, Troy. And with that, questions from the council?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion by Brent to approve ordinance 14-13. This is the second reading, so second by Greg Schultz. Any further discussion? Would this be an ordinance? Ask for roll call.
Councilmember Rainey.
Aye.
Svenby.
Aye.
Trilson.
Aye.
Dotson.
Aye.
Schultz.
Aye.
Burbank.
Aye.
Abraham.
Aye.
All ayes.
We have all approval on this. Now we have the ordinance 16-13 as a second reading to vacate. of public dedicated easement. And again, you've explained it pretty well already. What is the council's wishes?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion by Brent to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Nate. Any further discussion? Again, be an ordinance, ask for roll call.
Councilmember Rainey.
Aye.
Svenby.
Aye.
Turleson.
Aye.
Dotson.
Aye.
Schultz.
Aye.
Burbank.
Aye.
Abraham.
Aye.
All ayes.
Again, all approval, and we'll move on to 9713, the first final plat of Viracon Edition. What is the council's wishes?
Make motion to approve.
So motion by Nate to approve, second by Brent Svenby. Any further discussion? Again, roll call, please.
Yep, this is a resolution.
Oh, it's a resolution, so what is, with that, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This has been approved also. Now we will move on to Emerald Acres Edition, and we'll go to Troy.
Okay, this is the second reading of rezoning Z324, a request by Greg Horica to rezone property from R1 single-family residential district to R4 townhome district, basically taking 3 lots along 22nd Street Southeast and replatting those into 4 townhome lots. They will have a common driveway off of 22nd, and staff would recommend approval of the rezoning from R1 single family to R4 townhome district.
Thank you, Troy. And this being a resolution or ordinance 17-13, what is the council's wishes?
So moved, we approve.
We have a motion by Nate to approve, a second by Raymond. Any further discussion? Seeing none, this be an ordinance again.
Councilmember Rainey.
Aye.
Svenby.
Aye.
Turleson.
Aye.
Dotson.
Aye.
Schultz.
Aye.
Burbank.
Aye.
Abraham.
Aye.
All ayes.
This has been approved also. The next item on the agenda for Emerald Acres is Resolution 98-13, the final plat. What is the council's wishes?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Greg to approve. Do you have a second?
Second.
I heard him first, so I'll go with Nate. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This has been approved also. Now we move on to Resolution 99-13, declare costs and order preparation for assessment. And this I'll go to Kyle. Right?
Good evening. This is the resolution declaring costs. I had one small revision, so there is a new resolution 9913 that Jeanette handed out, but our costs for the 2013 utility and street project, the 2013 East Broadway project, the 2013 12th Avenue Northwest project, and the retaining wall repairs at 206 West Rose Street was $2,800,820. There were contract changes in the amount of $6,627.66, so the final cost will be $2,794,192.73. Of that, approximately $667,000 will be assessed. So we recommend approval of declaring costs to be assessed.
Thank you, Kyle. Any questions from the council?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion by Greg to approve. Do we have a second to that?
Second.
Second by Kevin Rainey. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This has been approved. And now we will thank you. And we'll now move on to Resolution 100-13 to set a public hearing date for proposed assessments. And again, go back to Kyle.
With the following resolution, this is setting the hearing date
for the final assessments for the November 4th council meeting. You will be provided with assessment rolls with the detailed names and amounts for each property owner, and we recommend approval.
So move we approve.
Thank you. And we have a motion by Raymond to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Nate. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This has been approved also. And with that, we will move on to miscellaneous items, 3.71, personnel policy and procedure. And that will go to Chris.
Actually, that'll be Rhonda.
We have Rhonda here.
Before you have the addition of Chapter 18, which covers purchasing, and that's in addition to the city's policy and procedure manual, and it includes the following sections: 18.1, purchasing policy and procedures; 18.2, employee reimbursement policy; 18.3, the credit card use policy; and 18.4, petty cash policy. In an effort to clearly define the city's existing internal controls, formalized policies have been created. The areas addressed are all related to the various means in which the city employees make purchases. This will provide consistency among all city departments. Included in these policies is an acknowledgement agreement which will be signed by all employees that are given the authority to make purchases on the city's behalf. This will ensure that all employees granted this authority have read and agreed to abide by the city's purchasing policies. Staff recommends approval of the aforementioned policies.
Thank you very much, Rhonda. Raymond.
Have we had a policy before?
We've had a couple of them, the purchasing and the credit card. This is just incorporated into the manual. It's never been formally a part of our manual.
So this is all kind of new put together then? Do you feel comfortable with the number of people that have credit cards, or do you feel comfortable?
Well, we have reduced it considerably.
Oh, have you?
And we've also encouraged the department heads to look at the staff that does have cards and see if they can try to reduce it further. So we are working towards that.
I was just a little surprised to see that many people had credit cards, I guess, I mean, with 100 and some employees, that's, a pretty good percentage, I mean, it just, when you saw 3 people from one department and, and stuff like that, it just seemed like the more, do we have a similar card, are they all the same cards then?
Yeah, it's a U.S. Bank Visa card.
So if they lost them, they need to notify you immediately, and, okay. It just seemed to be a pretty large list of numbers, I guess,
Any other questions?
Make a motion to approve.
We have a motion by Nate to approve. Do you have a second to that?
Second.
Second by Brent Svenby. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This has been approved, and thank you very much for putting that together. And with that, we'll move on to public comment. If anyone here would like to speak on any issue not on the agenda, please come forward and sign in. Seeing none, we'll move on to council comment, and we'll start with Kevin.
Nice and cool in here tonight. I have nothing tonight.
Thank you. And then we'll move on to Brent.
I have nothing this evening.
Raymond.
Nothing.
Nate.
Have a happy Halloween.
Oh, thank you. Greg.
All's quiet in the second word.
Thank you, Greg. Dave.
Nothing from Ward 3.
Mr. Mayor, Tom.
I've been asked to put a letter to the editor in support of the school bond referendum, and as the speaker for the city, being the mayor, I feel uncomfortable doing that without council support. So I'm asking for council consensus tonight before I submit that letter. As we talk to industry on our industrial visits, education is one of the key issues that we talk about, and finding the right people that are trained in order to fill the jobs. As we went with our site selector visits up in the cities, education was one of the key issues. So I think that it's very, very important we support that and provide excellent education for our kids going into the future. So I'd ask for council consensus to allow me to do that.
Okay, thank you. I guess what I would ask is if anyone would like to speak to that issue. If not, I would assume that we would all support that at this point.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Chris?
Just a couple of things. Reminder, our next meeting will be Monday, November 4th, because of the levy vote for the school. So we're meeting on that Monday instead of that Tuesday. And then I'd also like to thank Mark Walbrand for his guidance and advice through this Brook Tree settlement. He was invaluable and was instrumental in us getting a fair settlement from DuPont, and want to thank him profusely. So,
as always, he does a very good job, and
He
it's
does.
appreciated. Thank you.
Mother always said I was good for nothing.
And with that, everybody have a very happy Halloween, and Chair will look for a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
A motion by Nate, Kevin, second by Brent. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting adjourned.
Kevin, if you're ever gone, I'm pretty sure the bill.